of the great joys in my job is getting to work with just amazing people. So Volko is a tremendous human being. Game design aside, he is an amazing person. He is a great intellect, but such a humble guy that you'd never know that from the way he treats everybody else. He's very curious. He asks good questions. He's humble. He lets other people help him. And he's just so much fun to be around. So one of the great joys for me is that, both our customers and the people we work with become our friends over time. So just getting to work with Volko as somebody who's my friend is a tremendous honor. As a game designer, though, he is at the top of the tiers of designers, and one of the few guys I know who could have brought this game to the place it is, brought Labyrinth to the place it is. So I just love working with Volko, and I wouldn't have wanted to have done Labyrinth with anybody else. I am one of the two gatekeepers at GMT for new games, and the other one is Andy Lewis. Andy lives on the East Coast, I live on the West Coast. Well, Volko lives on the East Coast. So when he created Wilderness War, Andy had a lot more of direct contact with Volko. I still talk with him via email, but Andy really drove that relationship. So I didn't really know Volko very well, except through email. So fast forward to 2009, 8 years later, and out of the blue, I'm at a convention in Tempe, Arizona, and there's Volko with his two sons and his wife, and we sat down and started talking. And I said, hey, because I always want like the next game from a great designer, right? And I already thought Volko was a really good designer. I said, hey, have you thought much about doing another game for GMT? And of course, like so many guys that work for us or with us who also have military-related government jobs, after 9/11, he was really busy. And so his game design, all that just kind of went to the side. And so he hadn't done anything really in the hobby since then. So I was asking him, hey, you have any interest in getting back in? He said, well, I'm still pretty busy, but what are you thinking? And I said, well, I'm thinking that there's a game in the War on Terror. Maybe something that would start with the Twilight Struggle system, but we'd tweak from there to represent the War on Terror. And I knew that Volko understood what was going on. I just didn't know if we could get, given his job, I didn't know if we could get approval to do a modern game, given his clearances. And that did turn out to be kind of hard. But he told me after about a 4-hour conversation that night that he didn't think we could do it. And I said, okay, well, it was worth talking about. And the next morning at breakfast, he walks up to my table and said, Gene, I know how to do it. So we talked for the rest of the convention, kind of designing a game in our heads, although definitely his design, not mine. And he said, I'll go home and I'll work on a prototype and I'll get back to you when it's ready. And I'm thinking, most designers, that's 6 to 12 months, that's good. And I got a phone call from him a month later, and he said, it's done. And I said, what's done? He said, that War on Terror game. And he sent me the prototype. And in a month, he created something that we probably made a dozen small modifications to over the coming year as we got that ready to produce, which is unheard of really for us. He created that out of whole cloth in a month. So that was pretty amazing to me.